Please go to the diary room.
Every single season and learn everything that there is to know about everybody.
Please make your way to the diary room.
Celebrities!
Welcome back, everybody. Welcome back to another episode of The Diary Room, a Big Brother podcast where we are trying to find the best player in Big Brother history, whatever the heck that means. It's going to take a long time, but we're on our way there. And we're in the second half of the first round. We're getting a lot done around here. And not only are we getting a lot done, but we are here today with a very special 50th episode. I am Matt, of course, here with Aman on the main podcast feed for the 50th freaking time. Aman, how are you?
I'm good. 50. The big 50. It's crazy. But not really, because it feels kind of a
that is so fitting. Like, you have been doing the most with these bodily function noises for the past like 25 episodes. So starting with a sneeze on episode 50 is great. Yeah, Devon in the chat. We of course have some patron guests backstage waiting to join us in Patron Appreciation Month. Bless you, by the way.
I was gonna say, like, screw me, I guess. F my drag, right? Sorry. Yeah, I tried to hold that in, but it just was not.
Try. You said I have it coming and it's coming out.
I really tried it. It went away for a second and then it just overcame me.
Anything else you need to get out now? You can mute, unmute. No one will judge.
I think that should be it.
All right, great.
Knock on wood. But I'm excited to be here for number 50. Back with some more patrons as well. And yeah, we are just making our way through the second half of round one. And after the jump scare last episode, I'm looking forward to something a little bit more mellow. And now that I've said that, it probably won't be that way. So yay!
I do want to go back to the last episode real quick, because I don't think I flagged up when we pulled one, and we're spoiling some things for the people backstage, haven't seen this episode yet, but we pulled Eric Stein. I wanted to mention, usually I mention this when it counts, 7 patrons had tried to put a vote onto Eric Stein. Of course, one did, but 7 attempts. A lot of people looking to vote for America's Player.
Yeah, and I think I mean, he's been screwed over, famously. So I think padding his pockets with some votes is only appropriate, even though it was America's votes that screwed him in the first place. Yeah. But yeah, live by the sword, die by the sword, I guess.
And I also wanted to point out that we pulled in last week's episode Lori, the second boot from Big Brother 5. Big Brother 5 is now 5-0 going to round 2. 5 players have been pulled. 5 players are going to the second round right now.
I know, and at least 2 of those going through are very questionable. So they got very lucky. So yeah, that's going to happen sometimes. That's the beauty of this podcast. I can't wait to see how many more times that something like that.
The whole cast could go through. Like, imagine a whole season.
They could. They could. I'm sure you've had this statistic at some point, and I just forgot that you've said it. What's the? Are they the one with the most so far?
The most that have gone through. Well, no, because they haven't had enough players come up. But
so which one is the most so far?
This is a great question that, of course, I'm prepared to answer. The most so far is BB22, has 10 players in the second round, followed by BB26 has 8.
Well, yeah, outside of 22 though, because that's a conglomeration of other seasons.
26 has 8. 19, 23, and 25 all have 7. Yeah, BB5 is not even really close to the top, but again, a lot of other seasons have been pulled more often.
Damn, that recency bias for 26 is really coming in strong.
Yeah,
I mean, I say that as I was responsible for putting Tucker through over.
You sure were. Anyway, and real quick before we bring in our first guest here today, is I just wanted to, of course, it's Patron Appreciation Month. What do we do over on Patreon? We have battle back votes and we have losers brackets, and this is the last episode in this current batch of 5 before we get to our next losers bracket and battle back vote. Of these players eliminated, and this is where I will read them all to you from the last 4 episodes. 3 more will join them today, and one of these 15 players will make their way back into the competition. All right. From the farthest away episode, we have Big Brother 20's Winston, Big Brother 11's Laura, Big Brother 19's Elena, Celebrity Big Brothers Mariah and Cynthia Bailey, BB9's Jen. From BB25, we have Cameron. BB21, we have Sam Smith. BB8, Dustin. And from the last episode, Big Brother 4's David Lane, Big Brother 8's Zach, and Big Brother 17's Julia Nolan. So we have those 12 plus 3 more today will be added, and that will bring us to another battle back vote. Somebody comes back, and one of them will be crowned the worst of the batch, eligible for the larger losers bracket. That's, what's happening on Patreon. I don't know if any of those names stand out to you, but
do any of them stand out to you?
No. No. I will say, so of course we do the polls every week. A couple days after the episode airs, usually the Twitter poll, which by the way, we still can't do on Blue Sky. I'm sorry, Blue Sky doesn't have polls. Usually the poll lines up with what we decided on the podcast. The Cynthia Bailey versus Alex from BB9 poll did not. Cynthia Bailey won that vote. But Alex won it on the pod.
I mean,
I think there's a lot of Cynthia Bailey love in the reality TV universe.
Yeah,
which
totally
am with, but
right.
Devon said, we have our private chat here with everybody backstage. Devon saying, not sure if I'm shocked that Julia didn't make it or not. For full spoilers, Devon, we'll talk to you when you get on. But lost to Steve Moses. Yeah, kind of crazy.
No context.
But yeah, if you guys have any more questions when we bring you on, we'll get to that, and we may as well just get started, right? So without further ado, warning to the person that we told was going first today, bringing you on from backstage, Amon. Let's talk to Christina.
How's it going?
Hey, ladies first, baby.
Thank you. Happy to be here. I'm great. Excited to be here.
Did any of that information alarm you that we dropped?
No, but I am a huge BB17 fan, so I'm kind of a little disappointed that came up so much on the last episode. But whatever gets pulled today, I'm happy for too.
So I am so sorry to continue spoiling you guys on what happened in the last episode, but it was wild. The last matchup almost gave Amon a heart attack because the first player we pulled was Steve. The second player was Julia, but it was almost Devon.
Oh my god. Oh my.
When I say almost Devon, it was, and I get the luxury of, I see Nick and Devon's faces backstage, some shocked faces. But yeah, the wheel was literally like at the edge of Devon's name, and at the last millisecond switched to Julia.
Someone's looking out for you, Amon.
I was ready to quit the podcast because at that point it would have been 100% Matt's fault, and the Gregory allegations would again never be defeatable. So he's lucky it didn't happen that way, or I wouldn't be sitting here.
He might not be sitting here, even though the whole thing that happened on Patreon, of course, of Amon casting his vote for Cassandra. It was the confidence in the patrons to vote Devon through if some mess occurred, and mess almost occurred, but that's besides the point. Anyway, Christina, let's talk about you. So happy to have you here. Let's hear your Big Brother backstory, wherever it began.
Yeah, when you told me I was coming on, I realized I had to think about what that was actually. But I remember my first season that I watched all the way through was BB11, which is ironic because Jerry from BB10 is from my hometown.
Oh.
But
wow.
I had never actually heard much about Big Brother. I just knew that after the fact that this old guy was on the show. And so I was just staying at my grandparents, typical grandparent thing. They watch the news while they have dinner, and it happened to be on the CBS News. And so once, it rolled over into Big Brother, I just got hooked. I've always been into competitions and competition reality shows. And so I was hooked from, junior high school, and just continued to watch. Now that they've moved it back in the summer a little bit, it's been harder for me to keep up with how late it goes into the seasons. That's why you don't see the last 2 seasons on my wheel. But it's just been something that's always just been comfort TV for me, which I know is kind of weird when it stresses a lot of people out to be on the show. but it's just kind of been that comfort TV show for me for a lot of years.
And is it not something? So you missed the last 2 seasons, and look, I'm looking for the June premiere this year too. I would love to have it back. But is it just like not worth it to go back and rewatch, or just haven't had time?
I just haven't had time. I work in collegiate athletics, so a lot of my time in the summer is like my off time, kind of like, a teacher would have their summers off. Like my summers are off, and then once I kind of get into that September, October time period, it's like I'm hitting the ground running, and same through the spring. So by the time it rolls around where I can start binging again, there's another season. So I get about halfway through, and then I kind of fall off. I do still keep up with the podcast as much as I can. I get a lot of downtime, a lot of looking at a computer. So nice to have something to listen to. But like looking to go back and like watch some of them, but also like at least 25. Like once Cerie's out, like I'm just gonna be like, do I really want to watch?
I was gonna ask Amon if you would like recommend like I guess either or both of those seasons if somebody missed them to have to go back and watch them.
25 and 26?
Yeah.
Or I mean, yes, maybe more so 26 than 25, only because if the Cerie factor of it is like the most interesting thing for a lot of us. But it can also be like, if you're not really a Survivor person, it can be the detriment in a lot of people's opinions, because like, why is everybody so focused on this lady? I don't care. But I still feel like it's, there's some of the better of the more recent seasons, so I still recommend them for sure. Yeah.
Christina, do you have a comfort season of the show or comfort player, like your favorite? I'm trying to ask this question in this very specific way lately.
17 was like the comfort season for me, of just like kind of the breath of fresh air after 16 was kind of the steamroll that it was. I also feel like if I go back and watch seasons, it's usually 17, 10. This sounds a little crazy. I'll even watch 15 from time to time, more so than probably most people rewatch 15. There's something about the gameplay of it that like I can appreciate, and that was actually my first season finding RHAP. So when I was seeing all of the racism that was happening on BB15, I was interested in just finding a community that was going to talk about it.
Yeah.
And I found June Song talking on RHAP about, the different things that Aaron was saying about Asian people and, Black people and everything else. My mom happens to be of Asian descent. So it was something that was like hit close to home to me, just like hearing the stuff that she would say about Helen. And so when June was kind of really open and blunt about that, like it really was just like, oh, this is like a cool community because they're actually talking about these things. And so I guess because RHAP, that was my first season fighting RHAP, it's kind of like a comfort in a weird way.
We talk about that a lot. Everybody, like, your first season, whether it's with the podcast or with, just watching in general, there's like a special place in your heart, even if it is BB15.
It's my first season.
Yeah.
It's
a connection.
Yeah.
I will say we need more June Song back on podcast. It's been too long.
Yes. Oh my God. She's amazing. Like in this community, like I feel like I'm not someone that's like super active as just like commenting on things, or I'm more of a lurker when I do like watch RHAP or, some of y'all's Twitch streams and things like that. But like June, I'll message her on like a IG story post, and she'll message me back right away. Like she's really just so down to earth and so cool. Like it's kind of awesome. And like I've told her too, like as someone with a white dad and an Asian mom, like I know she had posted things about like her son Noah and just like his upbringing, like having that. And I had mentioned to her, I think it's really cool that like she is someone that's worried about that, and actively thinking of ways to make his life easier as you're up, because like for me it just wasn't always that way. And so like I just think that she's an awesome role model in what she does, and she's an awesome mom to her son, and I just need more June Song in my life.
100%. Yeah, that's I mean she has. Sorry, got him on.
No, I was just saying that's amazing. I love that. That's awesome.
I feel like she's shared so much of her life with us in like the past decade or more, and so it's nice to hear that she's also like responding to messages and everything like that with people that are connecting with her and her story and all that. I'm glad she's already in round 2, so we don't have to worry about her today. Let's get to the wheel here and talk about who we are going to worry or not worry about today. Lots of people on this wheel for you, Christina. Anybody in particular that you would love to either, I don't know, send through, get rid of?
So both of my patron votes have gone through. I had Michelle Costa and I had Johnny Mac.
Mm-hmm.
And
Okay.
so if I had gotten a third one, the person I probably would be thinking about is Lane, especially after hearing about Matt talk about him for, his episode. So it was just something about Lane. Like, I do feel like he was underrated. So I don't mind talking about him. I do love 12 too. So something like that. But I'm just hoping for some more of the, like, not old school, not new school. I don't know. Is that mid school Big
Yeah.
Brother, like the golden age of Big Brother? Just some of those
Mhm.
picks, because that feels like more of my sweet spot.
All right. Well, the only way to find out, of course, is to click that little button and spin the wheel.
Oh my God, this is more nerve-wracking in
It
person.
is.
Yeah. Welcome to the game.
Here we go.
Welcome to the game.
First pick of the day. Oh,
Point of no return
hell
after this.
yes.
Who is it? Who is it?
Big Brother Canada 6.
Oh, awesome.
Hell yeah.
I should have known after that reaction. I was like, what is it?
I have my little cue card, not cue card, my little patron vote card that I keep right here. I like blew it off the desk with the wind that came out of my mouth in excitement. Anyway, we haven't had BB Can 6 in so long, and I was like praying for one of these patron episodes to pull through. Christina, I can't thank you enough.
You're very welcome.
We are back to BB Can 6, and we're talking about one of the ding dongs, Olivia. Aman, what do we have on Olivia?
Olivia is known for her personality and her close friendship with Ali, known as the Ding Dongs. Olivia started the game off as a target. During the double eviction, Olivia made the big move to backdoor Hamza. She, alongside her allies, Ali, Erica, and Johnny, were able to control the game until Canada decided to use the POV on Ryan, forcing Kayla to backdoor Erica. Not really forcing her, but whatever. When Johnny won HOH, he nominated Derek and Kayla for eviction. However, once Derek won the POV, Johnny nominated Olivia's ride or die, Ali, who ended up evicted. In the triple eviction, Derek won HOH and nominated Johnny, Olivia, and Maddie. The house voted to save Maddie, meaning that Olivia and Johnny were both evicted.
Just real quick, we talked about the stats more on the halfway party over on Patreon. BB Can 6 has 16 players in the cast. Only 3 came up until this point. 13 players leading the pack of seasons with the most players remaining, which is why it's just been waiting for more BB Can 6. So I'm happy we're here. Christina, what do you have on Olivia? Did you enjoy her? Did you enjoy her gameplay, her personality?
Oh my God, how can you not love the Ding Dongs? Like, the name itself just makes you smile, right? And I remember hearing a lot about BB6 because I didn't watch it live, but I went back and watched it when they were all on Paramount Plus. Shout out, please bring it back. Please, please, please.
Yes.
But I just remember I did keep up with the podcast, and I feel like at the time RTV did the like end of the year Big Brother wrap up. So like it would be the Canada, the celebrity, and the US version, and hearing about how the feeds didn't do it justice for BB Can 6, I was like kind of disappointed because like I did really enjoy the episodes, and I feel like she was just like a casualty of like just like who got power at the time because it was a triple and not necessarily as much of like what she did per se. Because I mean, even in like the recap, there wasn't like any really big individual moves besides the one HOA she had that like she was faulted for. At least that's what it felt like on the edit.
She did not get enough in the edit. The whole edit was about Ali. Like things that had nothing to do with Ali were given to Ali as far as like credit is concerned. And I know Taryn covered a lot of that. Any of us that were talking about the show on the podcast that season were just confused as to why Ali was getting so much credit. Ali, who I think is a very good player and deserves a lot of credit. It was just like there's so many people playing this game, and specifically like Johnny, Olivia, that were doing so much that weren't getting credit for things, and it was all going to Ali because I guess they were investing in her, very specifically in her. But Olivia, I mean, she had a hell of a story in that season. She went from being almost like a foot out the door early on. She was targeted. She was, her name was thrown out there constantly in like the first 2 weeks, and she's truly like almost evicted. And then when she is able to recover and other targets emerge, she obviously settles in with Allie becoming the ding dongs. They get close to Johnny and Erica, and there's like people that are not just like not wanting to evict her, but like work with her and protect her and have her as an ally. And things completely turned around for her. You get like deeper into the game, and it's Allie and Olivia with Derek and Kayla. They have good relationships with the Paris trio, and it's just there's a lot of good stuff coming out of Allie and Olivia's games. Amon, you're smiling over there. I don't know why. I feel like you have something on your mind.
No, I was just listening to you talk about one of your favorite seasons.
I love BB Can 6.
I know.
Except for the first like 3 episodes where we know what happens. But other than that, it's a big other than that. But Olivia also, the early episodes where she's crushing on Jesse, and so is Paris, kind of, maybe, sort of. And she's like asking Paris for permission, like, as long as she is not actually pursuing Jesse, like, can I pursue Jesse? All that was very fun and funny to me,
Yeah.
and I enjoyed all of it. And
Yeah, and she
I
got
could
so
go on
much hate from the fans for that, but Paris literally told her it was fine. So I don't know why everyone's being all pissed off about it. Like,
Yeah,
and also
it was giving like, is it actually fine though?
well, I mean, hey, you know, why are we stripping Jesse of his own agency here?
Yeah.
Anyway,
Anyway,
Olivia, you know, I enjoyed her too. I thought that she's one of those characters that, you know, I think anytime you find a player in any season of Big Brother that can serve as an avatar for the audience, that's always going to be just gold for us. She really was sort of someone that sort of had, you know, skill for the game, but also was like had a very irreverent attitude all throughout. She had some pretty solid DRs. I think that production didn't really understand what her character was going to be in the first few weeks of the game, but then clearly when she became much more instrumental in the season, they were like, oh, okay, hold on now. This girl actually is cooking a little bit. And her and Ali were such a strong duo. I think that they were perfect foils for one another because Ali had the tendency to be a bit fiery at times. And I feel like Olivia was sort of like I mean, I'm here with you, Ali, but let's calm it down just a little bit. The DR for after who was it? Was it when they got rid of Hamza? And she's like, he didn't die. Left the house. Like, so yeah, she's actually quite funny and a good character and player for the season for sure.
She
Christina.
grew on you. Like, she was very easily like one of those people in the beginning. Like, you could kind of see like her character, at least what she was supposed to be in casting, so like kind of coming off a little annoying. But the more you listen to her and like listen to her DRs or her talk game and different things like that, like she definitely like started to become less annoying and like more just like congenial, like someone that just grew on you and you were rooting for by the end.
Christina, do you remember specifically the move that is made against Erica? Like feeling any which way of if that was the right move or not for Olivia, Allie, and Johnny? Well, no, Johnny didn't turn on Erica. Olivia and Allie both voted her out.
I mean, it would be hard to get by her in a competition, obviously. It just felt a little early. Like you could get carried, like if they were working with her to the point where like maybe in a couple weeks, but like you can't know that like a triple's coming where like if they don't get the power, she's an automatic target, or like you know some of those doubles are coming, but like it felt a little early. Like it felt like, especially to like in the game, you don't know for sure, but like you are gonna need jury votes by the end too. So like keeping someone that you're working with at least to jury, I feel like is the obvious move there. But I mean, that's just me.
Agreed. It's a tough call, I think, all around for a lot of players in that game, but specifically those two. So obviously the game doesn't end how Ali and Olivia wish that it did. But I don't know. They have a pretty good legacy, I feel like, coming out of the show. They get called back for hosting a competition. I want to say it was like years later. I think it was like 11, maybe 12 that they get that call to host something. It was a while
That
after.
sounds familiar. Yeah. I feel like it was 11.
I feel like it was, one of the last two, but can't remember for sure. But I don't know anything. And then as far as when the game ends, it's on that triple eviction, and it's just like whoever won the comp was going to get their opponent's side out. And
yeah. I think that her, being with Ali and being with Johnny, they sort of like were really a thorn in sort of like the side of the Derek and Kayla thing going on and the Paris latch on. And I think that they really had a nice spot of like playing adjacent to the middle, but were clearly, I think that they sort of like underestimated just how strong and how quickly Kayla and Derek were prepared to take over the game at that point, as soon as like Erica and Hamza and all of those people were gone. So I think they sort of like got caught with nowhere to go. But I think that the initial like drive for them was like they were in a really, really good spot. It just didn't pan out the way with some of these competitions.
And the reason Paris is so good is because neither Ali or Olivia saw Paris coming to know that Paris was connecting her side so well to Derek and Kayla. Because in Olivia and Ali's mind, it's like, well, we're protected by both sides. Like, we're the middle. And that was so
Paris
much of
did them dirty just as much as Kayla did, but for whatever reason, she's like, she has no problem with Paris.
Yeah.
So
Paris is power. Anyway, I'm scared for this next pick, but we do have to pull the wheel back up and find an opponent for Olivia. Look, I know I'm going to lose a lot of faves along the way. By no means do I think Olivia is like the best player in Big Brother history, but I think she's good.
I think she's fine.
And I'm scared. It'll happen.
Hey, it's a big wheel. It's all good.
She's making it through. I'm putting it out.
You're jinxing her.
I'm it's spirit fingers.
The wheel is spinning right now, and we will find out who she's up against. And all right, I feel okay. Natalie from Big Brother 5.
There you go.
Well, remember what we just said about how nobody from Big Brother 5 has been eliminated. We love a through line. We've already had Adria, Natalie's twin, come up on the wheel, and she did go through in a very strange matchup. Natalie. Will Natalie go through, though?
Natalie. As part of Project DNA, she switched places with her identical twin sister, Adria, for the first 4 weeks. And because they pulled off their deception, Natalie was let into the house to play her own game. After Natalie and her sister turned on the Pinky Swear Alliance, both were nominated against each other. When Adria won the POV, Natalie's fate was sealed and she was evicted in a 4-1 vote, only receiving the vote of her sister, placing 8th.
Shout out to all like 5 pixels in this photo. I'm glad that they came through to see Natalie nice and crystal clear. Christina, we're going back to BB5 here to talk Natalie.
Yeah, I mean, even knowing that Project DNA was part of the theme of it, because I watched this on a rewatch, not watching it live, it was still shocking just to like see it actually work and see how shocked the rest of the house guests were when she finally was able to come into the game, or when they both were able to play with each other. I mean, just kind of like a wild twist even for back then. But the thing I remember most about Natalie is that her and her twin just weren't very nice once they were both in the house together. Like
they were like, things were going well. Like they were kind of nice, kind of calm early on, but as they got deeper into the game, something switched.
Yeah, they had like a mean girl energy to them of like they finally had each other and they could just be together as if like the whole rest of the game wasn't happening.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, they were ready to completely take over. I do feel like Natalie was the better player. I want to say that we talked about that when Adria came up. There were like very slight things she was given credit for in the edit. Of course, I'm talking the edit here. I also wasn't watching the live feeds back then, or watching the show at all back then. But like, I remember there was a time like early on when while they were switching, that Adria was going to be used as a pawn, I think by Drew on the block. And she tells Natalie about this. Natalie is the one that enters the house and does some work to prevent that, but it still ends up happening because it ended up happening. But like at first, I think Drew had like reconsidered the idea of using Natalie because of Natalie's good pitch that she had made. I was like, okay, well, clearly she's the stronger player already. And then as we got deeper into the game, Adria is the one who's really like tearing their games apart and making these bad decisions, has this horrible HOH, where she is putting up Marvin and Will and, just ruining any goodwill with people in the house. Natalie is sitting by her side supporting these decisions, but it still felt like Adria was doing worse. And, Adria's in round 2. Is Natalie going to make it? I don't know. Aman, what do you have on Natalie?
Yeah, no, I was gonna say. I mean, and we said this when we were talking about Adria. I think that she definitely, there was a reason, outside of Natalie winning the POV, that Adria went home first. I think that she, when they had the HOH, she really was the one that was, God told me what to do with my nominations. And if hey, I'm not here to begrudge anyone's religious beliefs, but it was kind of nice that you had Marvin there to be like, so God told you to nominate the black guy and the gay guy. Okay, cool. It just you're on this like self-righteous tirade, and it just leaves a bad taste in everybody's mouth. And as far as Natalie's concerned, she may have been a little understated, but as you said, kind of right there along with her sister. And I don't think that there really was too much that she could do to save her game after losing her sister. And a lot of them sort of like felt duped by the fact that they were getting tricked by this whole twin twist, which was always so funny to me because they had such sympathy for the Nokomis storyline and everything. So I think it's also a little bit of like production shenanigans as well, because I feel like if I had to hide my thing, but production is actively outing the other side and giving them like this wonderful edit, I would kind of feel some type of way. But hey, what are you gonna do? They were interesting to watch, and that this was sort of like one of the first times that you saw something like this on TV, but not great for the game at all.
I can't remember, was when her sister was doing like the HOH and she was supportive of her nominations, like she was also on
she was just right by her side. They were obviously making decisions together, but I kind of remember Adria just like make it like kind of telling Natalie what she was thinking, and like I don't know, it just never felt like if one of them made a decision that the other was going to really push back too much. Like they were kind of both on the same page with how they felt about people in the game, and they just, I don't want to say shared a brain, but like shared a lot of thoughts.
It just feels like if like, I guess because they shared thoughts, it's a little different here, but like if you really didn't agree with it, like that's the one person you can push back and say like,
right,
why are you doing this? Like,
so
you know what I mean? So
yeah,
like it's mind-boggling that like they both felt that way about such a terrible decision on that HOH.
Yeah.
Would it make does it make a difference in how you're going to vote, to either of you, that Julia is the most recently eliminated player here in the diary room, the other half of one of the twins from BB17, and now in the very next matchup we have Natalie? Can we eliminate two twins back to back like this?
Rip them apart.
Is that even what we're thinking we want to do? What are we thinking? We have Olivia from BB Can 6 versus Natalie from Big Brother 5. Christina, start with you.
It's got to be Olivia. Like it's not even close. Just I in like what we had talked about, like the decision making, even like though you didn't see it all in the edit, like Olivia, hands down the better player.
Aman.
From one fraternal twin to an identical one. Bye. I'm glad to get rid of one of them.
Yeah, obviously there's going to be a 3-0 vote for Olivia to advance, which I'm so happy about. Just a happy boy over here. But kind of crazy. BB5, we just speculated that they could take the whole thing, that all of them could go through. I mean, like you said, Aman, the fact that the first 2 boots are already in the next round, and I don't know, it wouldn't have been that hard for them to keep going.
Their luck had to run it at some point for BB5. So,
and it runs out here. Christina, anything else from anything in the podcast whatsoever that you wanted to mention before we say goodbye?
Yeah, you didn't let me yell at Aman.
I know. I forgot everybody last week getting a chance to yell at Aman. So thank you.
No, I'm not going to yell at Aman. I do think that I have one of the more controversial takes on one of the matchups that happened earlier in the season.
Okay.
I would have voted Enzo through over
Tyler.
over Tyler.
Ooh, gonna break him on's heart
Oh,
instead of yelling at him.
I know,
okay.
I know. I feel
Okay.
so bad, but like to me, you guys had talked about it about other players too, of like one wanting to be there, and I think that that's a big one for his second go for me of like
Mm-hmm.
what Enzo could be on 50 seasons, and I just feel like he's always going to be all in on all 50 seasons that he's in. And
Mm-hmm.
for that would have been one of the tiebreakers for me of just like I get that, Tyler's more likely to win a season, based on how he did in BB20. But I
Mm-hmm.
just, a big part for me is just going to be wanting to be there. And so I probably
Yeah.
would have put Enzo through just based on that alone
Yeah.
and for that second season.
Enzo wants to
So,
be
That's
there
fair.
on any call. I mean, maybe not in like a challenge final, but he wants to be there.
oh yeah, no, I mean, it's that we learned the hard way.
Yeah.
Uh, but yeah, that's probably one of the most controversial ones that like, and I obviously understand why Tyler gets voted through. Like that's probably one of the
Yeah.
hardest matchups I think you guys have had, or at
Mhm.
least that I remember listening to. So there's no bad blood on that one. I just,
Mhm.
for me, I knew that that would be kind of a controversial one, so I had to bring it up. But
Yeah. Well,
I
look,
appreciate.
Enzo's back. Of course, he made it back through that battle back vote of his round. It didn't even take him getting to the halfway party. So he's back. We'll see if he gets easier matchups the next time around. But Christina,
Yeah.
anywhere you want people to find you online or
My username on a lot of things is really weird. It's my name, Christina, CHRISTINA _A, but the letter I is a number one. Because I have a basic name thanks to my parents. So I have a basic name, but you can find me there. Like I said earlier in the podcast, I work in collegiate athletics. So if you want to see some sports content, you'll find that there. If you want to see pictures of my dog, who I am so, so thankful he has behaved this whole podcast, um, you can find stuff there too. But yeah, that's my handle on basically all social media, and I'm pretty good about responding to things if anyone is interested in anything. Being a woman in sports is kind of crazy. It's a male dominated industry. So
Mm.
shout out to anyone if they're looking to get into it. I'm happy to help. And just, again, thank you guys for letting me come on here. It's kind of, I don't know, a dream come true in its own way, but I've been
Aw.
listening to you guys since the choir room pod and,
Oh, thank
messaging Matt,
you.
like who Rick Perry is, instead of Katy Perry, and things like that. So it's just been nice because you guys were my comfort podcast during COVID. So to
Oh, I
actually be on a
appreciate
Thank
that.
podcast
you.
with you guys is definitely like one of the things that like, I don't know, check it off my bucket list at this point.
Love that. It won't be the last. We can say that for pretty certain certainty. Yeah, that's it. That's a word. But much appreciated that you joined today and for all the kind words. And we did some great work just now.
Yeah,
So
we did.
I'm
We did.
Yeah.
satisfied. All
Oh,
right, we will talk to you in a little bit.
yeah, sounds good.
All right, thanks. And Devon, ready to go back there? Thumbs up, and let's bring in Devon. How's it going, Devon?
Hello.
Hey,
How are you guys?
hey.
Was well, I like to ask people when we bring them right in what you think of the past decision, but I never know if ever like if you had those players on your wheel type of thing.
Yes. I don't have Big Brother 5 on my wheel, specifically because I only put things on my wheel that I watched live.
Sure.
I could probably talk a lot more about Big Brother 5 and 6, which are both not on my wheel, more than a few of the BB Can seasons that I have. I mean, that was an easy choice.
I'm glad we all agree.
Yeah.
Devon, how's it going?
Yeah. I'm doing great. How are you guys? A little sunburned,
are-
but overall good.
Doing great. I would love to hear your Big Brother backstory.
All right. Yes, I've been watching Big Brother since the start. I was a day one baby. I'm an old man in this community.
Damn.
My first live feeds were Big Brother 8, which I think I was 16 or so around that time.
Okay.
It was a great season for someone of that age.
Oh, yeah, I'm sure.
A lot of nonsense, a lot of drama, and at that point I was hooked. It was also a lot easier for a Canadian to get access to US feeds at that point.
Mm-hmm.
Then there were a few years where it was great, and then a few years where it was almost impossible, and now it's on Pluto, which makes it super easy again.
Okay. I hear so many things about Pluto, and obviously the not the dog. The dog's right behind me, right? Yeah. But I've never explored Pluto myself.
Yes, they made it so that you have to have a US based credit card to purchase like live feeds, which really killed a lot of Canadian viewing until they brought it to Pluto. And now I definitely have a US based, not VPN, to watch those live feeds.
Did After Dark air in Canada?
Yes, for a lot of years. That's what got in Big Brother 8 had After Dark, and I was house sitting for my aunt and uncle. And I watched that, and then it stopped, and I was like, well, I want to keep going. And that's what got me into it in the first place. Yeah. I mean, but
did you ever
specifically feeds?
Right.
I've never really entered the After Dark realm because I've always just sort of been the feeds from day one.
Yeah.
But it's always been something that I've always been interested in as far as like stories are concerned from fans of the show that caught on before I did.
It was a time.
Whenever it'd be on, because it hasn't been the last couple seasons, right? So when I was first getting into the show, I heard about After Dark. I'm like, is this different? Because I'm watching the feeds now. Like, do I have to watch this too? Very confusing on figuring that all out. But we got there eventually. Devon, anything you want to yell at Amon about?
Okay, I have made 3 notes. One of them is correct. Tyler over Enzo, which was just brought up, so that's pretty jokes.
Okay.
Tucker over Jessica, also correct. The big travesty is one that actually Amon was on the wrong side of. Was Victoria over Tom Green? Come on, man.
Victoria over Tom Green.
Over Tom Green, Canadian icon.
Amon voted for Victoria.
Correct.
Yeah, and then he continued over on the Patron podcast to advocate strongly for Victoria. We were in the losers bracket,
I love Queen Victoria.
Just Victoria versus Jed from BB Can. And I'm saying Victoria's better.
No, but in general, I've agreed with all of Amon's wrong votes. So.
I appreciate it. Thank you so much. I feel emboldened and empowered.
I don't know if that was
the second
my
one
goal,
was Tucker. Devon, you're standing firm in Tucker over Jess?
Absolutely. I love Jess. But again, that's the other season that I didn't watch live. And I've actually never gone back and watched. It's the only season I've never watched in full. Wow. It was the year me and my wife, Kate, got married. And it was in that summer. We got married late August. We watched the first month or so and realized, this is heading in a bad place, and we have other priorities, so we never really fully watched that season. So we never saw like day 44.
Have you gone back?
Never gone back. I've watched clips and stuff, the Prettiums, the Athanamales, the what have you, but I've never. It's the only US Big Brother season I've never watched in full.
I would say like they're like highlights like that, like the day 44s and whatever other fights, maybe in the early part of the season are worthwhile to see. Obviously, if you've seen them through those means, then you're probably good. But obviously, I don't think many people would recommend the end game as like must watch. I think you're fine.
Yeah, I think we watched to the end of like Camp Comeback, and then that was it.
Okay. Well, yeah,
it was a busy summer.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, you're fine.
Yeah, you didn't miss
yeah. I'm going to pull up your wheel, Devon, and I would like to know, what would you like to see come up on the wheel today?
I don't want to put that into the universe.
Oh.
Because then I'll be disappointed when it doesn't happen.
Okay.
I would like to I'd like to see just either a matchup of middle grounds, like a 6th to 11th versus a 6th to 11th, something like that. But I don't have any one person in mind.
Okay. Well, without further ado, I'm going to spin this old wheel.
Here we go.
See how nerve-wracking this one can be.
This is decided.
Up next today, we're going to Big Brother 9.
Matt McDonald.
All right.
Is that what you're hoping for?
Oh my God, Kate. I find Big Brother 9 to be one of the most underrated seasons of Big Brother ever.
Say that again.
Again. This was the second time I ever watched feeds. I'm pretty sure I was 16. So that has a lot to say about
There was plenty going on, I'm sure, for a 16-year-old watching Big Brother.
Particularly surrounding good old Maddie McDonald.
BB9 has its flaws, but I have long said, I'm sure I've said over here, it's basically like an MTV version of Big Brother. And if that's what you're looking for in a season of Big Brother, then there's plenty for you in Big Brother 9. Amon, we have notes on Maddie.
Not very many. It says Matt, his soulmate in the game was Natalie. In week 5, James cast the tiebreaker vote to evict Matt. He came in 9th place.
All right. Well, we
Wow.
can't talk about Maddie without a special guest here. Natalie is no, I'm just kidding. Imagine. All right. Well, Devon, what do you remember of whether it be the live feeds for other activities or gameplay or I don't know. What do we have on Matt?
I mean, you are right. You can't talk about Matt without talking about Natalie. Their games are so hand in hand, and mostly her game was in his hand, to I guess her downfall essentially.
Yeah.
They were just a ludicrous couple to watch. I was always cheering for James and Chelsea, obviously, but it was just a bonkers season. Everything in Big Brother 9 was about the couples, and they were the most, I think, probably iconic couple in that. One of them was absolutely in love with the other, and Matt could not stand her. So it was just kind of a wild, bonkers ride the entire time.
Yeah. I think for Matt in particular, like his whole rivalry with Crazy James, I think was sort of just like that part of his game that he just could not. It was like a thorn in his side. He just could not get past that. And James getting voted out and then returning and then believing that Matt probably didn't want him to return, so voted against his return, and then winning the HOH after that and then putting him right back up on the block after he had to save himself with the veto twice. Like, it was just like the guy really couldn't catch a break.
He couldn't, and he went home the next week, like the week after James came back, right?
Right.
Yep.
Yeah, I just feel like he just really could not really get his footing in the game. And, you know, one of those people that, you know, is an easier target once you've been up on the block so many times. So, yeah, I mean, he tried. He saved himself twice,
He's
right?
Like,
yep.
And he got he had help from Sheila, who convinced Ryan not to put him up as well. So, like, you know, he was trying. He tried.
I feel like he has like the same energy of like every dumb man in Big Brother 5 or Big Brother 15 who like went out pre-jury because they just didn't know how to play Big Brother and showed up, you know, I don't know, not to say for like the wrong reasons, but just like didn't know how to play Big Brother. It's not to say that he had no connections. Like he obviously he connects early with Alex, who doesn't stick around, you know, too long in the pre-jury portion of the game. Recently just came up on the wheel. And he later then connects with Ryan a little bit when Alex is gone. But it's not enough. He's pushing Natalie away, obviously, while she is his biggest advocate. Just weird stuff going on between those two, you know, while he's in the house. I don't know what the heck happened, you know, when they got to jury, not like that, just like in the sense of, I can't remember like if they were on an okay page after, you know, the game was over, but the edit between the two of them really is just uncomfortable at a lot of different times, showing how much more she liked him and how he was treating her in response to say like, I'm not interested. So
uncomfortable is exactly the correct term for this.
It was.
Yeah.
It was.
And then, being like first juror didn't help anything. The fact that Natalie made it in afterwards, and I'm sure that was a bit of a jury house, but luckily she get there pretty late. So
yeah.
I know this is not a video podcast for everybody. Some people listen just on the podcast feed, but can we talk about Maddie's belt?
I mean, that's iconic mid to late 2000s, right?
It sure is.
It's studded for sure.
I don't know if it's studded or
no,
if
it's
just
that
like
double one.
Yeah, where you put like the like metal piece through like the two metal pieces through like the two circles in the belt. Fashion yeah. Indeed. And this is like, you know, one of the studs of the season. So, you know, fashion super important for this guy.
It was a mess. Okay, we didn't know what the fuck we were doing back then. Okay, we were just wearing any old thing. Everything looked like a damn costume back in that time.
I mean, we're not even talking about like the dress shirt that's like opened at the top with like the cuff and the sweater over it. This is
seemingly no buttons are done up.
This is a like by all accounts a very attractive man in the costume of.
I'm surprised the collar's not popped, to be honest.
Yeah,
it may have predated that.
What else do we have on Matt? I have a note about his showmance that he tries to do with Sharon after at a certain point tries to like win her over with some flirtation, and she kind of saw right through it.
genuinely forgot about that.
So did I.
Yeah, didn't really
my
work, but that's his game to turn up the flirt whenever it was helpful, unless it was Natalie.
Yeah, that was gonna say.
But I don't know. Can Maddie win a matchup?
Gotta say it's looking a little hard, but
as a first juror, that's a 6-11. Get another 6-11. You never know.
There's plenty of other people that have done worse or just as good. So.
You were looking for this kind of matchup exactly. So
this is perfect.
Let me get the wheel back in action here, and we're gonna pull one more player and see just how interesting of a matchup we can get on our hands, or it could just be a slam dunk for somebody.
Yeah.
My gosh.
Also, Nick in the background is saying that agree, Big Brother 9 is so iconic. So we'll get those takes, Nick, in a little bit. Up next. What the hell?
Well,
James.
All right.
Big Brother 9.
This is going to be something.
Change your freaking mind. Okay. James.
What?
That was his quote when he was yelling at
No. Just like this matchup. I mean, we just had Steve versus Julia. Now we are doing the same-ish thing on BB9. Look, BB9 and BB Can 6 may be two seasons that have this problem often. When they don't come up, they're going to start being matched up against one another. Anyway, James,
after he was successfully backdoored during week 4 by a 5-1 vote, James was voted back into the game only minutes after leaving the house. James became a huge threat upon his return, winning 1 HOH comp and 3 consecutive POV comps. He was finally evicted in week 8 by a unanimous 3-0 vote, placing 6th. James won $25,000 for AFP. James's soulmate in the game's twist was Chelsea. Although they were attracted to each other early in the game, they eventually had a falling out.
Yeah, Devon, is this not the exact type of matchup you were looking for?
Yep. In the same season, too. That's certainly something.
It's so interesting. I mean, look, the one that we just had, BB17, was Steve, Julia. Okay, that was like super obvious. And by placement, yeah, James goes farther here.
Yeah.
But I think this is a discussion. I don't think it's as, cookie cutter of a decision. I don't know.
You could also argue he doesn't go farther.
He certainly doesn't at first.
Like he doesn't, but then he comes back and he does.
Right. And we were literally just talking about he's the one that evicts Maddie.
Mm-hmm.
So he gets that one over on him. But what else? I mean, this guy, there was a lot going on with James. Of course, like I'll at least like throw out the acknowledgement of the nickname Crazy James. I don't know that nickname holds up super well today. But that was the persona of him. Based on, I think, a lot of different factors. He was a very emotional guy. And look, I'll take any emotional men representation on Big Brother. Before there was Josh, there was James. And before there was James, I'm sure there was somebody that I'm not thinking off the top of my head. But James was so passionate about so much in that house, whether it was his personal relationships, whether it was the game itself. Like I feel like once, especially when he gets back into the game, first of all, voted back in essentially by the rest of the house. He was evicted. They get the choice of, do you want to bring James back in, or do you want it to be this mystery box of a player that's already been evicted? And they say, well, let's take James back in rather than taking our chances with an unknown. Plus, there were still people that had decent connections with him in the house that were sad to see him go. So, just by that aspect of his social game, you can say that he was good. And again, I think, Devon, I think some of the connections that he had made his game to follow his return to the house like just a very interesting watch.
Absolutely. James was my absolute favorite of this season. It wasn't close. He was the reason I kept watching. The on-air personality, like in the diary room and stuff, was legendary. The nonsense, streaking and jumping into the pool naked was hysterical in a season of a lot of that. His hair, his flamboyancy, his ability to just be vulnerable, sob. I hadn't seen a man cry on this show like that ever. It was really nice to see. And I'm pretty sure he went home the week of my birthday. Just based on timing. It was the first season that ever aired in March, right? And the only US season that aired in March. So I that was kind of devastating. But I love James.
Well, I think as far as like his game is concerned, I think that he was. I think at the very least he could, sort of like navigate between alliances pretty well, and I guess he was kind of forced to, given that he was voted out at one point, and it being able to come back in and sort of like shift who he's playing with and get out someone that he was deemed a big threat. I think that is the mark of someone who can adapt pretty well. I do think that because of the fact that he was sort of like this overstated character in the game, I think that he just draws so much attention to himself, even in a crazy season like BB9, where you can't really fault him too much because you could just say that he was sort of like matching the speed of the rest of the house. But I do think that if anything, what I can give him credit for, like I said, is just him being able to pivot when he needs to, and sort of having like this endearing personality that really, got him a lot of favor in the house and out of the house. So
he also, as much as you said he was Josh before Josh, he was, I would argue, as sucky as this is now, Frank before Frank. He, at the end of the game at least, either was HOH or nominated every week, I'm pretty sure. So he was a big comp beast / target week over week, and it was really easy to root for that.
When he comes back into the game, he's HOH again. That evicts Matt. He also won the veto that week. The following week, Adam's HOH and James wins the veto to save himself. The following week, Natalie's the HOH. James wins the veto to save himself. The following week, though, is where I was about to remind anybody that needs the reminder of where he really gets, I think, a lot of credit, deservedly so, from the edit, because Adam is HOH in this week. And by all means, it should be James going up on the block again. But it ends up being Sharon and Sheila that go up, where it was going to be Sharon and James. But somehow James convinces Adam to put Sheila on the block instead of him, just like with a very passionate plea of, I'm not coming for you. Everyone is convincing you that I'm this big threat, but I want to work with you. Plus, Adam is kind of like, a little bit on the outs from the rest of his group. And especially at that point in the game, the idea that Sheila is not going to take him to the end of the game is pretty believable. They've had a rocky relationship all game, and James fully capitalizes on that to say, I am not coming after you. I will bring you to the end of the game. We will work together. And it works. Sheila goes on the block. When the veto gets won, James has to be the only other option to go up, and that is what ends up sending him home. But if James won the veto that week, or if maybe Adam won the veto, well, actually no, who did win the veto? Because was it Adam? Ryan won the veto. So Ryan is going to use it on Sheila, and they're going to force essentially Adam's hand in putting James up. But getting saved from the block in the first place, I think, worthwhile enough, and showed what he had.
Yeah.
So absolutely, the fact that he was able to convince Adam of that, the fact that like, oh yeah, Sheila definitely is against you, it really helped that Adam absolutely hated Sheila for no reason at all. But the fact that he was able to notice that and kind of dig into those cracks, peak gameplay.
I don't know if I'd say no reason at all. Sheila wasn't the biggest guy throughout the season.
You're fair. You are fair.
She, gave him some reasons at times to.
Yeah, I mean, it seemed like, at least in the beginning of the season, it seemed like
more at the beginning. It was
he tried, and she was just like so disgusted by him, but also like, if I were Sheila, I kind of get it. Like Adam is kind of. Just, let me stop while I'm ahead.
That was my favorite couple of the season by far.
Yeah, they were quite the dynamic duo.
I feel like I should go first because I was just giving James a lot of praise, and I feel like that's kind of made it obvious where I'm leaning. So I will cast the first vote for James to go through over Maddie again. And Natalie, if you're out there, I'm so sorry. For both what you endured in the season with this man, also in the fact that maybe, I don't know, maybe you're still a big supporter. And if so, I'm voting him out. But Maddie also, not that this is like relevant to the conversation, but not the greatest situation after the show for that man. The story of Adam, I think, is a little bit more well documented of how his time post BB went, but Maddie, I think, was not too far off from all of that. Yeah. Anyway, Devon, what are you thinking?
Yeah, I think before he was even chosen, I mentioned that I was a huge James fan over the Maddie side of things. So I'm absolutely voting to evict Maddie and give James the push through.
Yeah,
I think it's only James got Matt out. That's kind of what it comes down to for me. He beat him at Big Brother, and so it's kind of hard for me to say that Matt was better. So it's a vote for me for James as well.
Yeah. All right. Well, we've been, a little iffy with some of these America's Favorite Players that have gone through or not gone through. We're sending an America's Favorite Player through.
Yes, we
can't
are.
believe they had it all the way back then. What was the first season? Is it Janelle?
First season with AFP?
Yeah.
It's Janelle being the first one sounds very familiar.
Oh, they may have started it with All Stars. That would make sense.
I'm not even going to look it up. Christina's in the chat saying BB7. So there we go. Thank you, Christina. Devon, anything else before we let you go?
Not a whole lot. Thank you so much for having me.
Thanks for coming on. Really anywhere you want people to check you out online?
I'm on Blue Sky at AIDE, AEIDE. Right now, mostly talking about Canadian politics, and it's not interesting.
Sounds like it's good stuff over there.
It is good now. It wasn't so much a few weeks ago, but now we're on the right track. Woohoo!
Yeah.
But yeah, come Big Brother season, that's where I'll be.
BB Blue Sky activating for the first full season.
Yes, it is.
Although I feel like Amon's disappeared from Blue Sky.
Finally.
I'm trying to get back into it. I'm sorry. I feel like social media in general I've kind of been lacking, but I'm gonna come back.
That's all right.
I do mostly lurk. But
yeah. All right. Well, Devon, thank you so much. We'll talk to you soon.
Thank you very much.
All right.
Yes.
And just as quickly, going to bring up the next person who also looks ready to go. And that is, as mentioned, the fan of Big Brother 9. It's Nick.
Hello. I'm doing well. How are you guys?
Good.
Doing very well. We've been very busy in this podcast with some very tough decisions. They haven't been that tough.
Know. I don't know how I'm going to follow that.
Any thoughts on either of the matchups so far?
I really think that both Christina and Devon made the right choice. It's the choice I would have made. So very interesting so far. So we'll see where it goes from here.
There we go. Anything you want to yell at Amon about?
So not specifically Amon. I do want to yell at the audience. Why did you not vote Clay Honeycutt back in, you cowards? Clay Honeycutt is the hottest man to ever play Big Brother. So I will always be biased. But also I have a very obscure matchup that I was screaming at you guys about.
Tell me more.
Mike Lubinsky versus Andrew Ian Gordon. I'm sorry. Mike Lubinsky's terrible.
And Andrew's not?
Should have gone. He's not worse than Mike. He survived an eviction.
I guess so.
Well,
we had Taryn for that episode. I feel like any decision that Taryn makes on this podcast, I'm gonna, count as the 100% correct answer.
I remembering Andrew a lot more. I'll give you that. I definitely was who was I more entertained by? And for me, it was definitely Andrew, especially the week that he goes out of the house. So yeah, I can see where you're coming from. I see you.
Well, and that Mike, his whole big thing was he loved George Bush. So it was it's not my person. Sorry.
Yeah.
I wonder what the conversation was at the time. Wasn't there, but anyway. What else? Nick, so we read off the names at the beginning of the podcast of who's eligible for this next battle back, and now we're really getting down to it. We just added 2 names, from this episode so far. I gotta say, still no strong candidate for me. I wonder if you're gonna get the loser of this matchup maybe could be the one.
Let's see. I hope so. That could be fun.
Yeah, unless do we think who is it? Maddie and Natalie? Do they have any chance of getting the battle back vote?
I think that the other Maddie and Natalie have a better chance of getting together than either of those two going through the battle back.
think that's definitely
fair
fair to
assessment.
say. Nick, any good Big Brother backstory, whether it's good or not?
Yeah. I actually have like 3 seasons I claim as my first, because I started watching BB 6, 7, and 8, but I was like 5, 6, 7. So I didn't really remember much of it. And my parents were like, this is very inappropriate for a 7-year-old to be watching. Big Brother 8 was kind of the watershed. And thank goodness they stopped before BB 9. But then about 10 years later, I'm like, I remember that Big Brother show. Let me get back into it. But at this point, Paramount Plus was not really a thing.
Mhm.
So I had to buy all of the seasons like individually on iTunes. Like I was in the weeds. I spent hundreds of dollars getting all of the BB seasons. So BB 9 was like my first season that I watched where I was like old enough to understand, and what a way to start. And I watched all the way 9 through 15, and then 16 was my true first live season.
You just brought me back to a memory of like when you had to buy things on iTunes, and like if it was in like my dad's card or something like that, like his account, and I'm like, do I have to ask or do I just do it?
Yeah, I literally went and bought iTunes gift cards so that my parents couldn't see the charges.
iTunes gift cards were also a very popular gift around like any holiday.
They were. I would be getting my little $50 gift cards and spend it all on Christmas Day. It'd be done.
But was it on like TV show episodes, or was it? It was got to be.
It was everything, baby. It was TV episodes. It was mostly music, and then some of these apps, man. Some of these dumbass apps that now are free today.
The way we had to like log into to iTunes to like go download like I don't know Bad Romance or something like that onto the iPod.
99 cents, and then it went up to $1.29, and it's just it's wild. It's wild.
What a life we all lived. Speaking of a life we all lived, let's pull up Nick's wheel and see which of these players is going to come up next from a life we have lived at some point in Big Brother history. Nick, anything you want to put out there of who you want to see?
You know what? I love Devon's strategy of not throwing it out there because he got what he wanted. So I am going to plead the 5th.
Devon's in the background clapping in I guess joy of having that support for his strategy. I don't know if I love it for like long term because I want to hear people's ideas. But it's allowed.
I do want to see BB6 or BB8. Those are kind of my 2 like favorite seasons.
All right, BB8 has been a very hot pick on the wheel lately, so definitely could see it happening here. Also haven't had BB6, I feel like, in a little while.
I feel like we've had mostly older seasons except for BB Can 6 today. So.
Well, who's up next today? And oh,
no way!
Gracious.
Who is it? Who is it? Who is it?
It is my queen.
Wow,
Paris.
Wow.
Yes.
Nick, I also cannot thank you enough for having Big Brother Canada 6 on your wheel. Look, we are by no means out of the woods. I'm acting as if Paris has already gone through. This could be spooky scary. And
she's
I don't like this.
Fine.
There are big names on the wheel still.
There is no way she's getting matched up with a winner. That's the only time that I could see her not going through.
No.
Because I know statistics. I know statistics, man.
I'm scared. Look, but you know what? If nothing else, there's battle back votes coming. We've said that, there's not really a great crazy pick. I'm just calming myself down in preparation just in case. But no, this is Queen. Devon in the chat saying Queen. Christina saying yes. I'm on notes on Paris.
Paris's gameplay mostly consisted of her strong social game, playing the middle of the house with her Secret 3 alliance. Her social play got her to Final 5 without being nominated. After Maddie's eviction, Paris won her first HOH of the season, securing her spot in the Final 3. Despite being in the Final 3 with a showmance, Paris was able to win Part 1 and convince Part 2 winner Kayla to take her to the Final 2 and cut her showmance. Although Paris's work would all be in vain as she went on to win the final HOH comp anyways and follow through with her plan of evicting Derek. Paris was awarded the win by the jury over the more aggressive and physically dominant Kayla in a 6-1 vote.
I gotta say, I think I manifested this one, not just like earlier in the podcast, but I was literally texting with somebody today about how in so many dream worlds, there's so many dream guests that we would love to have on, but Paris is certainly on that list. And I was just talking to somebody about how Paris is, not on social media anymore. Once she left social media. She never looked back. And like anybody who is able to successfully pull that off is like, oh my God, so much credit to you that like you can be stronger than the rest of us to completely move on. And so it's been a minute since, I don't know, since we've heard from Paris really at all, let alone in the world of Big Brother, but hope that she is thriving out there, whatever she is up to these days. I did have the very lucky pleasure of getting to meet her and chat with her a little bit at the Big Brother Canada 7 finale, and just truly as incredible in person as, you know, on the show, what we got to see. And I could be here for the next hour talking about everything that I loved from watching her on BB Can 6. But Nick, I will turn to you to begin the discussion.
Yeah, I think that makes two of us. I absolutely love Paris. And what really makes her win so fun, for me at least to watch, is that the narrative was so strong from the very beginning. Like, there is no winner's edit on Big Brother, but when they cut to her in like the second or third episode where she was voted the dumbest house guest, and you know, she's like, oh my God, I can't believe they think I'm dumb. And in the diary room, she's like, yes, they think I'm dumb. Thank God. And that to me, it's like, and that carried all the way through. She played so strong socially, but she always like positioned herself in a way to where nobody was really actively coming after her. And if they were, she was protected enough to not go anywhere.
Yeah. I think, because I know Matt is ready to geek out. I think, I think, yeah, Paris. Yeah, I think one of the greatest things about her game is the whole, you know, influence without power, right? You know, she had her voting block. She had Will, she had Maddie. And keeping that under wraps is crucial because it allows you to influence other players' decisions without them really knowing that it's sort of coming from you. It makes you appear non-threatening, but you still have your, you know, foot on the pedal. I think that she managed the jury well. I think that she sort of understood how other people were feeling about everyone else. She knew that even though Derek might not have been someone that everyone respected strategically because everyone sort of thought that he was a bit of a lapdog for Kayla, she still understood, yeah, Kayla's probably still better to take, though, because she's definitely pissed people off, whereas he hasn't. So if anyone doesn't want to believe that I was actually more instrumental than they might give me credit for, I'd rather just go with someone that I know they have a sour feeling about, as opposed to someone like Derek, who could easily just sweep up a vote because he's inoffensive. So I thought that was just a really, really smart read on her end. And I think that she just had a bit of a feisty personality. She wasn't afraid to get into it with people, especially Kayla. She would get down and dirty and tussle with the rest of them. And I think, again, you know, the final plea that we started to see this trend with Big Brother Canada finale contestants where they start yelling at the jury like, I want to be the winner, you need to give me this damn vote. Like,
yeah,
and I think that sort of she was one of the ones I think that did it the best.
Did it like I don't want to say like first, because maybe somebody did it like, you know, similarly or whatever.
Kevin was kind of like the beginnings of it. BB Can 5,
but not at the level that
not
Paris,
in the same way.
No,
but it was
you know,
passion, please. I think
passion,
yeah,
and like it's the kind of thing that like I don't think that like, you know, Taylor Hale saw Paris give her speech before her season. I don't think, but it's just like it was, and I'm not saying that Paris created this, you know, that like nobody ever would have thought of being so passionate, you know, also, but it just was becoming a trend, especially in BB Can, and just watching some speeches that came in the seasons after, just like beautiful work talking to the jury, letting them know, like letting them into your heart of like what I did in this season, the confidence that I have in my game. I mean, Bailey is a great example of, you know, our last champion as of right now of BB Can, that just did the exact same thing, letting the jury know what you did, giving the confidence of I believe in myself and my game, and I'm going to present it to you, to not just like tell you about it and ask for your vote, like to tell you, you are going to vote for me, or you should vote for me because this is what I did, and I deserve your vote. And I want it the most, basically, you know, in a very incredibly passionate way. And that's just like, you know, the cherry on top of everything for Paris. Amon said I was going to geek out. I will. everything. Paris is so underestimated as a player, or so not underestimated. Paris is so what's the word when you are undervalued?
Sure.
No, there's like a specific word
And it's
underappreciated.
not underestimated.
Maybe it's underestimated. I feel like it's not what I'm going for, but
Underrated.
Underrated. There it is. Under something. Underrated as a player, because look, throughout the whole season,
scanning my brain for like some kind of like fucking
Same,
SAT word,
and it's like the easiest word, but when somebody says that they can't find it, suddenly we all forget words. She, throughout the entire season, it's a lot of us not having the full confidence that it's going to work for her, because she's surrounded by a sea of sharks that are playing this game. Johnny, Allie, Olivia, and Erica as like a group. Derek and Kayla when they become the powerful duo that they become. And Paris is just like sliding on through. I mean, as early as when she's willing to let Jesse go, despite having this good connection with this guy and being like, yeah, like it's fine, we'll reset and we'll move on. And just, going from the group that she was in with Jesse, Derek, and Kayla, to still having that connection with Derek and Kayla, making connections with everybody in the house. And there's moments throughout the game. There's no perfect player in Big Brother. Plenty of moments throughout the game that things were messy, things slipped up. But she was always able to recover, and she was always able to like very passionately convince whoever it was that even if she made a mistake in their relationship, that she still had their back more than somebody else did. And that she was still wanting to work with them and, throw whoever she needed to under the bus. You can talk about the final five with the drama with Maddie, where, Maddie, Paris is, very upset because Maddie made a move or turned against her, whatever the exact scenario was, that Paris felt betrayed by Maddie. And we get to a point where Maddie is so upset because her friend Paris feels burned by her, that Maddie is like ready to go for her and then ready to run to the jury house and tell everybody that Paris is the best player of all time and we need to make sure we vote for her. And that's what Maddie did. How do you have that kind of power to send anybody to the jury house as strongly, passionately, like ready to get everybody to vote for you? I mean, and it was based on a real friendship that they had throughout the game. It wasn't just like something that she made up in the final hour to work over on Maddie. She just had so many different good friendships with these people that just all came back to benefit her in such a big way. Oh, and we have this final jury decision of Paris versus Kayla that so many people are going into it thinking that Kayla has to win. Kayla's the stronger player. Kayla this, Kayla that. Paris had those social connections that only the players could dream about having. And when you had the jury, I'm thinking of like Allie and Olivia specifically, that like you were talking about earlier, Amon, there was reasons for them to maybe not feel good about Paris, but they were like rooting her on in every answer. So excited at the idea of Paris being the winner of their season. It was just a masterclass in social game, in connections, and in just reading people right and not like letting anybody leave feeling burned while Kayla was sitting there calling them babies. So, there was so much discussion in the time after that of the wrong person won, or, and not from everybody. I think there was plenty of people, on the right side of things saying that Paris deserved her win, but a lot of people that were firm Kayla defenders saying that she should have won, as if Paris didn't play a different but very good game alongside her. There we go. Thank you.
Incredible.
Yes, thank you for that. We appreciate it. And I agree. And the last thing I'll add is like, just to reiterate, I think I think one of the best things about her game is, as unassuming as it is, she doesn't like just it, because it's one thing, because everyone kind of goes into Big Brother and says, well, not everyone, some people go in there guns blazing, but a lot of people go into Big Brother and say, I want to play an under the radar game. I just want to, make good friendships with everyone. And then you get in there and then you find that you like certain people and you gravitate towards them. And then you completely block out other people. And you get into this position of the game where you feel comfortable with the people that you're comfortable with. And therefore the ones that you're not comfortable with, you don't necessarily have to talk to. But I feel like with her, she said, I'm going to go in there. I'm going to downplay my intelligence. She did that. Check. And then after doing that, she is like, I know that I'm not a target, so I'm going to take this and use it to my advantage and just talk to everybody. And she did that. So it's like, I think she was actively playing the entire time, and no one could really say, no, you weren't, even though Kayla's like this physical force, because she kind of made good relationships with everybody. So you're just sitting there thinking like, huh, I do like Paris. Okay, fine. I'll vote for you, sis. Like, so, and that's a really good game. Hey, what can you say?
Yeah, I gotta agree. Just top tier social game. I know, and a very deserving winner. I was on the side of Paris deserved that win from the very beginning, and I stick by that.
And anybody who's not, I don't know what to tell you. Nick, any final thoughts on Paris before we get the wheel back up and running?
No, Matt, I couldn't have done it any better than you did.
I appreciate it. I've been waiting a long time for a moment like this. And I hope I get to do it again in many future rounds, but you know, we'll see how things go. All right, back to the wheel.
Oh my God.
Another winner. Let's do it.
What if it's Devon? Just to put that fear.
I might have to go into hiding if that happens.
Yeah. I mean, she's probably here, right? She's on your wheel, Nick.
Yeah.
Imagine.
Oh yeah. Absolutely.
But I mean, come on, what are the odds? And now that I said that, I'm terrified. Absolutely terrified. We're spinning the wheel for one final time here today. And up next is going to be...
Who is it?
Jerry McDonald.
Yes. I wanted old man Jerry. Oh my God. I manifested. Yes. Period.
You're going home.
That is very funny. Jerry, Big Brother 10. I will say I was rooting for the player that was next on the wheel to come up just because it's Chrissy from OTT, and we got into some BB Can 6 today. Hasn't come up in a while. BB OTT, I am like begging you to show back up, and it was so close. But we'll talk about Jerry instead.
This kind of hurts because I love BB10, and it feels like Jerry's getting screwed here. But what can you say?
If Jerry does get screwed, if Jerry does go out here, does he win the battle back?
Honestly,
at this point,
I think it happens. I think there's enough fan support. Well, and who knows? Maybe we'll decide that Jerry's better than Paris, but as for right now, I think there's a chance if he goes to the battle back, he could win it.
I think so too. I
think it's not the most unlikely. Let us bring up, of course, a graphic about Jerry, and Aman is heading to our BB Wikia notes on Jerry McDonald.
Yes, surprisingly not too many from BB Wikia. At the age of 75, he is the oldest contestant in the show's history. He was known for his heated arguments with Libra and Rennie, calling Dan out for swearing on the cross and going back on his word, and comparing Dan to Judas. Despite his old age, he managed to reach the final three. He
So
placed
shady.
third after Dan cast the sole vote to evict him. If he was
Despite
75 in 2008, he is almost 95 years old.
And he is seemingly doing well. We get updates from Dan once a year. Like you just got off the phone with Jerry. He's still good.
That's amazing. I love that for him.
I know.
I mean,
I don't think he's too active in the social media world for the fans to continue to shower him with.
If he was, that would be the most cracked account.
Would be, especially right now. I don't know what I would want to see out of that account. I don't know. Nick, you were elated when this name came up. Tell me why.
Yes. Oh my God. I just love Jerry. He is a goldmine of unintentional comedy. I mean, like you're throwing an old man into the Big Brother house. Like this is the same show where like a few seasons later, Shelly on BB17 is the old woman.
Yeah.
And she's like 33. So like the fact that we have like a certifiable like grandpa on the cast is just incredible. His gameplay, we'll get into it. I think there's quite a bit to be desired, especially the social side of things. But I mean, he got into it. It didn't matter that he was 75. He was going to get in there with all the young people and fight and scream and do all the things. Because I am wearing my Anybody Want Cake Sure.
Oh my God.
And I mean, I just love Jerry for being in in my opinion, my favorite fight of all time, the Libra versus Jerry Rice University fight. No notes, top tier.
Christina's in the chat saying for the longest time he would go to the sporting events at the high school in our hometown. Just imagine just see like Jerry, walking around your hometown.
I mean, I could just imagine him yelling at the refs, "That was the wrong call," or something like that.
Something like that. Where do we even begin with this man? He is like one of the most unique castings in Big Brother history, and it's obviously also in part to the fact that like he wasn't just like first out type of thing, like the fact that he goes the entire season in the game, that you're able to experience what it's like if this person is not first boot. And oh man, did we experience it. I mean, Aman, how many historic moments from this historic season is he a part of? A lot.
Almost every major fight that there is, he's in there somewhere. Like if he didn't start it, he's in the middle of it. If he's not in the middle of it, he ended it. Like he's always there. And I know that like as the game progressed, I feel like a lot of the house guests and just like the nature of human nature in general, they tried to make him out to be this goat that you drag to the end. He wasn't though. Like if Jerry makes it to the end of Big Brother 10, are there some people that are very sour with him? Yes, but him being the oldest contestant and getting to the final two, there is such a strong case for him to win. And it wasn't like he was just any kind of slouch either. He has a couple of HOH wins. He won the very first HOH. And yeah, you can say he kind of got bullied into going after Brian, but it was still a good move. Because if you have the whole house telling you, get this guy out, yeah, you're going to get that guy out. And that's going to give you a lot of room to grow and build other alliances with a multitude of people. And I think that he did that. Now, his game was interesting, and I think that his alliances were very, very fluid because he would make them and break them. He worked with almost everybody, even Keisha and Libra at one point he was working with until he turned on them. So it's just, I think that he was sort of just like going with the flow and not afraid to piss people off when he got pissed off, and he was just himself. And I think what makes him so memorable is just that, that's what people keep saying, put older people in the house, because they just don't give a fuck. Like they're going to do what they want to do. They're going to say what they want to say. Sometimes it works, sometimes it doesn't. And I think in that, a lot of people are either, if you don't get rid of him in the beginning, it's someone like Jerry, he wins the first HOH and he's just in there. He's in that sweet spot where it's like, we can worry about him later because he's old, but then he wins something, or he becomes a crucial part of one alliance's vote because he's always on the outskirts of other alliances. And then it becomes a problem before you know what to do. And then before you know it, he's in the final three. So it's just like, he's just such an interesting character that you don't really know what to do with. And if you don't know how to handle it, it's very dangerous, but it's riveting to watch. And there hasn't been anybody like him. I know that everybody likes to tout Angela these days, but Angela, no, sorry.
And she's also in a pretty similar spot of just being this very unique character that we haven't had, but they're not the same just because they're both the older house guests.
No.
And she certainly, she carved out her own spot in Big Brother history, but like it's not Jerry's spot.
And he's 75, people. She is 50. Okay, that is a whole nother like lifetime.
Right, that's my entire lifetime. So
I mean, no, like Jerry could be her mom, right? My dad. Woo, whatever he could be. I just am like sitting here imagining like Jerry versus Paris in a yelling match.
I mean,
going home. Jerry got his practice in, across the entire season of BB Can of Big Brother 10. But Paris in a Jerry speech could give some of those people a run for their money. Jerry is just an all-time character. And if it was like Jerry versus like some like Matt McDonald, I think we're voting Jerry through just based on pure like that alone. He is, I will say, for me, finding himself in a tougher spot here. But just as far as like, I don't know, his game is concerned, he got pretty hyper fixated on a lot of things that, held him back from seeing different paths for himself. Of course, the Judas of it all, all of that stuff. Once he had decided that he didn't trust Dan, there was never a world where even you could consider, going back to anything with Dan, even if it would have been helpful at a certain point or not. And look, would working with Dan be a good move for most players? No, because he's going to run over your game and beat you at the end, as we have seen at least once. And, whatever the story we'll get to for BB14 is, but I don't know.
I mean, look, he clocked Dan. Okay, is it exactly nice to say what he said about Dan? Sure, maybe not, but I think he was one of the only people that wasn't fooled by it. The minute that Dan did that, he was like, "Oh no, we ain't doing that shit here." Whereas Michelle is like, "Dan, why'd you do it, Dan? Come on, Dan, you let them fool you, Dan." Dan wasn't fooling that man. He wasn't fooling that man. So I appreciate Jerry in that sense, because he couldn't be fooled. He couldn't.
Did you either of you have any thoughts on Dan evicting Jerry at Final 3?
I think it was the right move because I think that Dan would have beaten either of them, but I think it would have been closer had Jerry made it to the end. I don't think it would have been unanimous for Dan.
Yeah, I think that there's such a compelling story. There's no way. It's hard to, you can't, how do you, what is the defense between, I'm 75 years old, I'm the oldest person to ever play this game, I made it all the way to the end, I won 2 HOHs, and who knows, if he makes it to the final 3, maybe let's say that he wins the final HOH and takes, Dan. I guess at that point he should have taken Memphis, so that would have been a bad call. But still, I think that he has such an interesting story, and yes, he pissed off a lot of people, but so is Dan. So does Dan probably still win? Probably, but yeah, I agree. It's definitely closer for sure.
Jerry, number one most iconic, falling in the pool, right? Many have done so after him, but definitely think he's the top of the list.
What a guy, man!
And still with us today to tell the tale. So what a story.
But
is he with us in the bracket? Is he with us in the diary room? Is another question. I will again go first because it is so painfully obvious.
Let me go first.
Oh. Okay. Sure.
I am voting Jerry through.
Okay.
I know that he is not going through. But because
you don't know that.
It's such I don't. I don't. But because he is such an iconic character, and yes, we all know Paris, and I just, I sang her praises, and of course Paris is the better player here, but it does not feel right to not at least vote for Jerry. So
yeah, Christina saying Amon with the legacy vote. So or Amon sending him through, depending on what Nick does, because of course I will be sending Paris through to the next round. It's just, the legacy vote is, I get it. And if Battleback votes go to Jerry, I also get it. I think that'd be a very funny addition to the Battleback lineup, but we'll see.
I graduated from Rice University with low honors.
And yeah, as Devon is saying in our chat here, no pressure, Nick, but Paris or Jerry, who's going through?
Okay, so I have the ability to do something very crazy, don't I? Yeah, here's the thing. I talked about how much I really think that Jerry could make it through in a Battleback vote. But as much as I think Jerry can make it through in a Battleback vote, I think, based on the field, Paris is an absolute lock. And from a character perspective, he made it all the way to 3rd place, so close enough. I'm sending Jerry through. Sorry.
Before I'm gonna let this sit for a second.
Oh my god, the entire audience is about to send me hate. Oh my god.
Well, I'm sitting in this to think about how to deliver some news to you guys.
Is there a patron vote for Paris?
There's a patron vote for Paris.
Oh, okay, good. Yes, period. All right.
Is there a patron vote for Jerry?
There's not a patron vote for Jerry. For those at home, did you see me not get nervous? Because you should have. The way that a tie works, if there is a patron vote cast, is
what
the
if
tie
it's a patron
goes
that's on the episode with us? Isn't
to the
that technically a
patron.
patron vote?
Not the same thing. And I'm going to the page here to see which patron it is. It's actually Brianna, who I believe is scheduled to join us in our very next episode. So
she's gonna
got to find a way to get this to her ahead of time.
That is why your patron votes matter.
This is the first time that we have had, I believe, a tie vote where the patron vote has meant so much. Nick, I would have never forgiven you. I've already gotten past the point.
Hold on. There is no way that Paris does not make it through the battle back. There is just absolutely no way.
You're right, but I shouldn't have to sweat that out for the next 3 weeks. I shouldn't have had to sweat that out for even a half a second while both of you sat here thinking that I was about to have a breakdown on the podcast. You both really tried that.
Look, wait, hey, the fact that I'm fine with it because the fact that on the record it shows a 3-2 minus the patron vote. I think that is very appropriate for Jerry. I just think
Nick was willing to risk Paris's life in this bracket for Jerry.
She's going to come back.
And I mean, Amon was too, but Nick,
and you still have your vote. You still have your vote that you can cast.
And
so
Paris is one of 3 names that I said I need to save this for just in case.
See, there you go. There was absolutely no way that she would not have made it.
She didn't deserve to lose this matchup, you insane people. All right, before I don't know, anything else goes off the rails here, it kind of already has. Let me recap what just happened there. Despite Amon and Nick trying to ruin my life and make me sweat this out for a bit, Paris is going through to the next round over Jerry McDonald. In a 2-2 vote, the tie goes to the patron vote. As you said, Nick, the patron votes are more important, maybe for the rest of the round than ever. And Christina was talking earlier; her patron votes went through, so got to get those in if you haven't already.
Mine
Paris advances.
So we'll see.
Did you say it hasn't come up?
Yeah, it hasn't come up yet.
Now I gotta go check.
I hope yours is as influential as your vote was today, Nick. I really do.
And yours might not come up super quickly. So you may end up with a second pick late in the round, which could be fun. What happened in our second matchup was a little less thrilling just as far as that excitement at the end goes, but it was definitely an interesting one in the BB9 matchup. James advances over Maddie from Big Brother 9, both of them. And in the first matchup, of course, we had Olivia go through where Natalie from BB5 stayed behind. So that's the recap here today. Nick, anything else you would like to try to ruin my life with before you go?
No, I am just so excited that I got this opportunity. I can't believe that I almost did that. I'm glad I got thwarted, but you know what? Amon convinced me. Amon has the mist. Amon for BB27. He's supposed to be on 5 other seasons at this point. So but yeah, no, it's been an absolute blast. Thank you both for having me. It's been a pleasure.
Yeah, despite what you tried to do, thank you for joining us. We really appreciate it. Anywhere you want people to find you online?
Not really. I'm trying to on social media nowadays.
Trying to pull a Paris.
Yes.
Yeah, understandable. All right, Nick, thank you so much. We will talk to you in a little bit.
Thanks, guys.
All right.
Bye.
You tried it. We
I
don't
love
talk
it
a
when
whole lot
people
about
get bad with me. I love it.
Is there a spider? Ew, there's a spider. Yeah. Did you get me? Did I catch it? I don't know. We don't talk enough about the idea of changing your vote when all is said and done. Is that allowed when if all 3 of us cast our vote and you were no, actually I want to vote for Paris?
I feel like I've done that in the past. I feel like I've definitely.
Yeah, I think so too.
I've cast a vote and I was like, never mind. But I do think I do it fairly quickly. I think.
Yeah.
I don't think I let it sit for too long before I change it. So.
But you weren't going to.
No, I was not going to.
Oh my god!
But I wasn't prepared for Nick to do what he did. I thought that I knew that he was excited for Jerry to come through, and I just wanted to make sure that Jerry got some love. So I was like, let me just get the vote out of the way, just so that I can just say my piece, because I know that you guys are probably going to send Paris through, and then he didn't.
And how'd that go? Almost.
So yeah, I didn't know he was going to do that, but again, I just, there was just
all it takes is one person to open the door. There's 3 of us.
Yeah. Paris was gonna be fine. Okay.
And you know what? Devon's gonna be fine too. I'm sure. She's gonna be great. Everything's gonna be fine.
She will be, or I'm gonna burn this place to the ground.
Well, that'll do it for today. A great patron episode in the books. One more coming for Patron Appreciation Month next week, and then we will keep things going into June and July and summer, and Big Brother is around the corner. So lots of fun stuff happening. I think we plugged Patreon 1,000 times today, not just from having patrons on the podcast, but from the various things that are coming up. Battleback vote is coming up. Losers bracket is coming up for the end of this round. So if any of the names that have been eliminated interest you and you want to get them back in, whether it's from today or a previous one of the previous 4 episodes, check us out over there, patreon.com/the diary room, and that will be fun conversations to get into very soon. Otherwise, make sure you are liking the videos on YouTube, giving us 5-star ratings and reviews on your podcast feeds, subscribing to us on YouTube, all the different things that you can do for totally free to support us and support the podcast. So always appreciate all of that. Aman, what is going on for you?
You can follow me everywhere at Aman Adwin. I'm sure at this point, All Stars 10 has already kicked off, so you can catch my coverage with that over at the RHAP We Know Reality TV / RuPaul's Drag Race with Beth. And yeah, that's it for me right now.
All right.
Yeah.
Sounds good. Speaking of that season of Drag Race, this past week, Scally and I just did a draft of the Drag Race 10 All Stars 10 cast over on a different Patreon, on the Free Agents Podcast Patreon. But check out the Free Agents Podcast if you're looking for. Right now, Scally and I are doing a full-on rewatch of the challenge all the way from the very beginning. So if you want to hear us go through the challenge history, whether you were looking to watch along or not, definitely join us for that journey. And I think that's about it for now. I might be popping on, I don't know, timing wise, I'm a little confused, but I may have a RHAP Big Brother podcast, maybe sometime in the next couple of weeks, if that's still going on according to plan. And so keep an eye out for that. But
one of the retrospectives?
Yeah, I think so. It's been a minute since I checked in with Sam, but figure that out soon. So if that is coming soon, check that out over there. And otherwise, thank you to Christina and Nick and Devon for joining us today. Aman, get us out of here.
Thank you to everyone that has joined us today. Once again, as Matt just said, Christina, Devon, and Nick, and to everyone that has taken the time to listen to the pod and everything, and all of your votes. They do matter. They do matter. They save lives. And until next time, guys, please go to the diary room.